Hi, I'm Rick Kaler. Thanks for joining me. As the class of 2025 walked across stages last month to collect their diplomas, they heard powerful messages from actors, athletes, and political leaders about purpose, ambition, changing the world. It was the kind of moment that calls for big dreams. But there's another message I wish someone had delivered. One that almost certainly didn't make the commencement lineup. This would be the graduation speech that I'd love to give, but never will. I'd tell graduates something that they are unlikely to hear from the stage, and this would be that your degree, whether in history, psychology, music, or even trendier fields like environmental studies or digital media, may be personally meaningful, but it might not get you where you want to go financially. For many, a technical school or skilled trade could have offered a more reliable path to both income and independence. Now, that's not a popular message, but it is an honest one. I've never been asked to give that address. Not because I haven't stood at a podium. I had the honor of delivering the commencement speech at my alma mater, American National University. But I'm not prominent enough to be invited to the likes of Dartmouth or Duke. And even if I were, I doubt the message would be welcome. On his CNN broadcast on May 24th, Michael Smerconish delivered a version of that method. Citing research from economists Owen Zidar and Eric Zwick, he highlighted a truth that's long been visible to those of us who work closely with business owners. Many of America's wealthiest people didn't get there through elite credentials or flashy careers. They built small to mid-sized regional businesses that quietly produce steady profits. Businesses like auto dealerships, HVAC companies, beverage distributors, or firms that manufacture machines to rip up carpet in schools. These insights are drawn from Zidar and Zwick's long-running research, which is now being developed into a forthcoming book, Stealthy Wealthy. Love that. Who is really rich in America and how they got there. Their findings were recently profiled in the Wall Street Journal, which spotlighted how these business owners often avoid the limelight, yet dominate the top tiers of wealth in America. These aren't the kinds of careers students imagine when they dream big. Very few graduates toss their caps into the air thinking, I want to start a company that builds machines to rip up carpets in school. Or, I hope I can one day run an HVAC business or distribute auto parts across the Midwest. But for many, those paths lead not to only financial independence. Here's the kick, to a meaningful and deeply satisfying life. Zidar and Zwick's analysis of anonymized IRS data showed that many of the top 0.1% of earners in the United States aren't drawing massive salaries from high-status jobs. Their wealth comes from businesses that have profits, practical, often unglamorous enterprises that meet everyday needs. Most operate under the radar. You would never dream of becoming really wealthy producing fasteners for sheet metal. You're not going to see them on magazine covers or giving TED Talks. I've worked with many of these quiet millionaires throughout my 40-year career in financial planning. When I founded my firm in 1981, I quickly saw a pattern. The people who built real lasting wealth weren't necessarily the most credentialed or connected. They were small business owners, often working behind the scenes, staying focused and reinvesting year after year. One client built his fortune manufacturing flooring equipment for schools. Another distributed auto parts across a few states. They didn't dream of prestige. They built businesses around utility and grit. Their internal financial systems were indeed self-led. They made decisions from a centered place, guided by long-term thinking, grounded in clarity, not by parts of them chasing recognition, status, or an abstract sense of meaning. Many of the degrees we glorify, history, psychology, music, environmental studies, media, often appeal to inner drives for significance, creativity, connection, or the desire to understand and influence the world. The quiet millionaires I've worked with didn't abandon those motivations. They translated them. They built HVAC companies where understanding people, clients, employees, vendors was really essential. They grew service businesses where the customer experience mattered as much as the product did. They didn't choose money over passion. They chose to embed the passion in systems that could also sustain them financially. They didn't settle. They synthesized. A self-led internal financial system doesn't need to dazzle, to impress others, prove worth, or validate itself through external applause. It aims to build something lasting. It creates meaning, not through spectacle, but through steady contribution. Now, these people are not outliers. They reflect the same principles that Thomas Stanley and William Danko documented nearly 3 decades ago in The Millionaire Next Door. Most millionaires don't live in luxury zip codes or work in high prestige industries. They own modest homes, they value financial autonomy, and they rarely care if anyone knows how wealthy they are. Yet year after year, our cultural narrative sends graduates chasing credentials and careers that often require massive student debt and offer little financial return. Meanwhile, the trades, plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, even regional entrepreneurship, are rarely framed as first choice paths, despite their earning potential and independence. Now, to be clear, this isn't about dismissing education. I hold a master's degree myself, earned nearly 20 years after I dropped out of college to pursue a career in real estate and financial planning. For years, I worked as a college dropout, building a practice grounded in technical skill and real-world experience. Eventually, that practical education translated into college credits. I completed my undergraduate degree and went on to earn a master's. In my case, formal education was the outcome of a technical street smart education, not the starting point. Even federal tax policy reflects the growing influence of these business owners. As Smerconish noted, Nearly a third of the 2017 tax bill, about $820 billion, was directed at business income, not wages or capital gains. Now that's no accident. Quiet entrepreneurs may not command headlines, but they shape the economy in meaningful and lasting ways. So to the graduates who didn't hear this from the main stage, if your heart is pulling you towards something practical, local, modest, don't brush it aside. Wealth is built in warehouses, on job sites, and through service routes, not just in venture pitches or corner offices. Your degree may be a milestone, but it may not be your direction. And if you find yourself drawn to the idea of manufacturing floor equipment, running a heating and cooling business, or building a parts distribution company, don't discount it. That might be the clearest signal yet that you've received of a future that's both financially sound and deeply fulfilling. That's the speech I'd give if anyone asked. Thanks for listening.